Man sees fawn sleeping on the road, looks closer, and realizes his mistake. He didn't know what to do, but he knew he had to do something. Acting on pure instinct, he took a big chance, hoping that it would pay off. They had been driving through a heavily wooded area, and encounters with wildlife were not unusual. But he had never been in a situation like this. Looking around at his friends' faces, he tried to see if any of them knew what to do. He suspected that the rest of his friends had never been in a situation like this either. That being said, they all knew that they couldn't just leave it be. They knew they had to act, and they had to do it now when they set out that day. Gary never thought he'd find himself in such a situation. Despite having lived in a rural community for a long time, neither he nor his friends had any idea of what they were about to face. The road they were driving on rarely had any traffic as it bordered the woods. They were chatting and had a good time. Then suddenly, Gary slammed on the brakes. Gary's friends, bewildered by the sudden halt, scolded him for such jarring action. And then they saw it. Their first thought was that it was an animal that had been hit by a car. There was a small brown lump in the middle of the road. Not seeing any other evidence of an accident, and seeing that there were no other cars around, they got out to investigate. They realized what the animal was as they slowly walked closer. It was a baby deer. Gary was saddened at the thought of the helpless creature that got hit by a car. But the thorn's eyes were open. Something wasn't right. Its legs were in a strange position around its body collapsed, like it had tried to make itself look smaller. Gary's friend thought that perhaps by crouching like that, the fawn was trying to camouflage itself and hide. Judging by the creature's size, another real possibility was pointed out by someone else. It had probably been born just minutes before. Then they saw it breathe, and reached the conclusion that the fawn was unharmed and healthy. But either way, they knew that they couldn't just go on their merry way and leave it there. One of the guys said, "I think we should leave it alone." But Gary is afraid that another driver might not see it and run it over, had an idea. "I'll just go up there and park my truck sideways and wait until it gets up," he explained. While they were wondering how long they would have to guard the fawn against the menacing road, they heard a rustling sound coming from behind. Turning toward the woods, the men saw that. There, peering at them from behind the foliage, was an adult deer. Realizing that it must be the fawn's mother, Gary felt relief, knowing the deer had a chance for survival now that at least he knew it hadn't been abandoned. Knowing that they had to figure out a way of getting it out of the road, one of the guys made a decision. Martin and Gary agreed that they should get it out of the road, but the other guys were still unsure. Realizing that they didn't have any better ideas, they decided on Martin's decision. Martin said, "Worrying about frightening the fawn, it's not going to hurt me. I'm not worried about that." Martin carefully moved his hands closer and closer while he bent down behind the fawn, testing its reaction to his presence. Realizing that it didn't seem too spooked, he gently placed his hands under its hind legs. After he had slowly scooped it up, he stood up quickly and started walking across the road toward the woods. Then the fawn started to wrinkle. One of the guys said, "Don't drop it." Luckily, Martin had a strong grip that enabled him to lower the fawn closer to the ground, and then he let go. Suddenly, the baby deer leaped into the woods and away to where his mother was waiting. The guys stood in amazement. Martin turned to look at his friends with an ecstatic look on his face as soon as he saw the fawn leaping toward its mother. "Yeah," he shouted with his arms in the air. Gary, knowing what a remarkable moment it had been, decided to post the video online. But reactions differed. Some people were critical and noted that the thorn's mother was right there, and the thorn would probably have made its way back to her if the guys had left it alone. However, most people praised Martin's actions for helping save the baby deer. Gary's video of the incident has since been viewed over 5 million times. The lingering humans sent on a thorn could cause their mothers to reject them, so wildlife experts generally advise against touching baby goo. The Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife recommends that if you must handle them, you rub an old towel in the grass and wipe the fawn to remove human scent afterward. If the thorn is found in a threatening place, it may be picked up and immediately moved several feet away from the threat. The Virginia Beach Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals says on its website it would definitely have approved of what Martin had done that day, and we agree too.